Ooh, hey guys, so the last day of Jet Camp just wrapped up, and I have Glenn Naughton here. Most of you guys know him as 8sFan23, right? On Twitter. He is one of our, or if not the top writer for JetNation, so you guys are very familiar. He was tweeting today from the sidelines of Jet Camp, and let's just go right to it. We have a few questions from you guys, and he's going to give us his insight of the wrap-up. So hit it. I'm pretty good. So what is your take from, we know you've been to a lot of camps, so from what you've seen from the past and today and just going into the season?
Well, I think the big thing right now is everybody knows the issue with the quarterback controversy. Not so much controversy. Fitzpatrick's a starter with Geno Smith being out. The big thing with him is going to be his arm strength. I think that the playbook will be somewhat limited with Ryan Fitzpatrick in there, but that could be something this team can get away with because of he's a veteran leader. He's done this for a long time. He's played in Chan Gailey's system with the targets he has in Marshall and Decker. Of course, Devin Smith from Ohio State. These are some young guys where they have some additional young guys behind him that if they even just keep the short and intermediate routes with his being his primary focus, with throwing the ball deep a little bit to keep defenses honest, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick can excel in this offense. He's not going to be, he's not going to be a Pro Bowl type guy, but he should be able to do more than what the Jets have, or the Jets should be able to get more from him than what they have in the quarterback position in the last several years.
Okay, great. We have some people joining. We do welcome all your questions, guys, preferably Jets questions. And we have one guy asking who wins the East. A little too early for that, I think.
It is, but I mean, in all honesty, as a Jet fan or, whatever team you may like within the division, until Brady and Belichick don't win the division, you just assume they're going to win it. To be completely honest, with the losses they've had this offseason, losing Brandon Browner and Darrelle Revis in that secondary, if they manage to win their usual 12 or 13 games, this would have to be considered Bill Belichick's greatest coaching job ever. But as long as he's got Tom Brady under center, then there's no reason to expect the Patriots not to win it. The division has gotten a lot tougher, though. Of course, the Jets getting Leonard Williams, adding him to that deep defensive line, the Miami Dolphins adding in Ndamukong Suh, and of course that defensive front the Bills have up in Buffalo. If the Patriots do what they normally do this year and win the division, it's going to be the toughest sledding they've had. It's going to be a dogfight in the AFC East this year.
That's right. Remember, Revis's heart was always with the Jets. Let's see. We have two more questions. Do you think our defense is overhyped? Remember, Mo was out there today, which was great to see, by the way, but we don't have anything in stone yet.
He was. I don't know that the defense is overhyped because based solely on the fact that these guys are known commodities. When you're talking about a Darrelle Revis and Antonio Cromartie anchoring that secondary, and Marcus Gilchrist, who I think is an underrated guy, he did a really good job in San Diego last year, covering some of the better slot receivers in the game. He gave guys like Wes Welker a really tough time, so I can see him matching up well against Julian Edelman. But I don't think it's overhyped because given the personnel and given Todd Bowles' reputation, here's a guy who won defensive coordinator or assistant of the year with Arizona last year, and we saw the numbers that defense was able to put up. So for all intents and purposes, he's got better personnel to work with here with the Jets. Now with him as the head coach, of course, Casey Rogers, this will be his first time as a defensive coordinator. Now, of course, until the season plays out, we don't know how this is going to go, and it may not go as Jets fans are expecting, but it's not only the Jets fans. You're hearing a lot of the national media, a lot of guys, you tune in with the NFL Network and local national media. A lot of people are saying this absolutely should be a top 5 defense, and if it's not, it's going to be a big disappointment.
We had another question. Do you think the Dolphins are a threat?
Absolutely, because of the fact that Ryan Tannehill he's a guy who is up and coming. The Dolphins just gave him that big deal. Some people feel he's overrated. He doesn't make he misses on a lot of his deep throws, but you can't rule anybody out in this division this year because everybody's so improved, and the defensive fronts, everybody's going to have a hard time scoring points. So you'd like to think that you could rule them out, but at this point I think it's foolish to say anybody can't dial it up a notch and win the division.
All right, back to the Jets a little bit more. I have a soft spot for Bilal Powell. I did last year. I was criticized for it. I don't care what people think. Again, I do this year. I liked what I saw today. I liked what I've been seeing. What's your opinion?
I agree 100%. Bilal Powell's been having a really good camp, both catching the ball out of the backfield and running the football. He's a young guy out of Louisville. Didn't have a lot of miles at Louisville. He spent a couple years there before he really got a lot of carries, so he doesn't have the wear and tear you would expect for a back who's been in the league 3-4 years. This is the type of offense where he can flourish. He's one of those guys who's a jack of all trades. He does a lot of things really well. He doesn't have 4.4 speed. And he's not a punishing blocker, but he'll pick up the blitzer coming. He knows his way around the backfield. He's going to pick up the blitz coming when people are pursuing the quarterback. He does a nice job of catching the ball, running with it afterwards. When he has gotten time with the Jets, when he has gotten an opportunity, he's averaging around 4 yards a carry, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. Bilal Powell's a good player, and keep in mind, that those are numbers he's putting up with when the Jets didn't have great quarterback play and teams were able to put 8 in the box. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Marshall, Decker, Devin Smith, you back defenses off a little bit and give your running backs a little more room. I think Bilal Powell's a player who could excel in Changeli's offense.
We have another, speaking of offense, we have another great question from someone. Sorry, these are not staying on the screen very long, so I can't remember who they're from, but I remember the question. Someone asked, why doesn't it seem like Kerley is flourishing with our new coaching staff?
That's as good a question as any, because I've wondered the same thing myself. I really feel like Jeremy Kerley is a guy who we're not seeing as much of as I would have expected. He's a player who just a couple years ago put up over 800 yards when the receiving corps was down with a lot of injuries. He stepped up his game and played a lot better than people give him credit for, and people forget that. This is an offense that has struggled from top to bottom. So, fans sometimes pick out individual guys and say this guy's not performing, that guy's not performing. When the truth of the matter is the whole unit didn't perform. We saw Kerley's production dip, but we have seen that he's a player. When he's involved in the offense, they do a lot better. Just from a statistical standpoint, when he's targeted 5-6 times, their winning percentage is much better. So I'm as surprised as anybody that he hasn't stood out. Now I know for myself, from what I saw at camp earlier this week and last week, when it was made headlines that he was fighting for his job kind of more so than he thought, he seemed to dial it up a notch, and he looked really good. Now, he's not been here the last couple days, but excellent question, because Jeremy Kerley is a guy that I feel that with Changeli's spread offenses, when he wants to get 4 or 5 guys on the field, if it's Decker, Marshall, Kerley, Smith, and then either an H-back in Amaro or a tight end in Cumberland, they want to split them out wide, or any of these, Quincy Nunn was a guy who's making a lot of headlines in camp in terms of, getting a lot of playing time with the ones. He's a bigger guy they've been using in the slot, but they have a lot of options, and I'm surprised Jeremy Kerley hasn't been more prominent.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't, but thank you very much, JetNation, and here's to a successful 2015.
We're going to see you at the game this Saturday?
Absolutely, I'll be there.
Okay, so we'll probably hear more from you then.
Sounds good. Take care.
Okay. Everyone's leaving, and we hope to see you again. Please follow us on Periscope. We're definitely going to be using Periscope. We had a very successful rate with it just today alone, so we're going to be using that from now on. And thank you again for tuning in. Like I said, we're going to be broadcasting live, interacting with the fans from our normal tailgate, Joe's tailgate, other tailgates as well. So bring your A game, guys. It's going to be a very interesting year, and as always, go Jets.